what if, just imagine right now, what if I told you you could buy both Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1? Holy fucking shit, you actually can, dude. Oh my god, life hacks. Now I'm here to talk to you guys today about this stigma that's been going around recently with Battlefield 1 fans and Infinite Warfare fans alike. There's just been this opinion that seems to have cropped up, and it's just the I'm either buying Battlefield 1 or Infinite Warfare shit. And it's just, I'm here to talk about how fucking stupid that is, right? So, obviously a lot of kids are going to buy one game this year. Sometimes people might buy more. And this stigma that's been just, like, popping up, you know, this idiot mentality is just really, really cancerous right now. And it's just these kids that are like, oh, fuck Infinite Warfare, I'm buying Battlefield 1 this year. Now, I'm not saying that's bad. You know what I mean? Buy whatever game you fucking want. That's not, like, my choice. It's up to you, because it's your choice. But the thing is, these kids are making it out to be like, you only get to buy one game this year. And it really does kind of stupefy me, this. Because it's like, is somebody forcing a gun on you and saying you can only buy one game this year? No, nobody is. You have free choice to go off and buy whatever fucking game you want. You can buy Battlefield 1, you can buy Titanfall 2, or you can buy Infinite Warfare. You know, it's your fucking choice. And it's half of these kids are sitting there on their fucking YouTube comment sections or on Reddit or wherever they fucking lurk. These bunch of trolls, and they're sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm only buying Battlefield 1 this year. Fucking take that, Call of Duty. And you know, it's these kids, they're the fucking worst. They're like the cancer of the internet. It's fucking horrible. And these kids are sitting there going, oh yeah, you can only buy one game. And it's like, no, I'm going to buy all of them, so fuck you. You know, the thing is with these games, Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1, they're going to be good in their own respective rights. Obviously, Call of Duty provides you with a very, very different gameplay style than Battlefield does. And that's been the case since day one of both fucking franchises. And I still don't understand how kids still can't grasp that. You know, it's like, Battlefield is large-scale destructive warfare with 32v32 game modes. Call of Duty is a small, arena-based Twitch shooter. It's not very arena-based, but you know, it's trying to be. You know, it has its roots in arena games, but overall, it isn't an arena shooter. That's just regardless right there. It's a Twitch-based shooter. It's normally 6v6. Or it might be 8v8 in Ground War. I'm not too sure what Ground War is. It's either 9v9 or 8v8. I can't really remember. But yes, Call of Duty is always a Twitch-based shooter with small team gameplay. It's not really focused on team gameplay. It's focused on, well, it's not really, you know, it's just focused on playing your own way. And you can like lone wolf it, or you can play with teammates. And obviously in Battlefield, it rewards team-based gameplay. You know, you're supposed to play as a team and win objective game modes. Obviously there's like TDM and shit like that, but for the most part Battlefield players stick to the other ones like Rush or Conquest or whatever it's called. I'm not really too clued up on Battlefield, but I know for a fact that it's more focused on team-based gameplay, whereas Call of Duty is more focused on, you know, whatever, doing your own thing. And it's just the two people, well, you know, these people are claiming that Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare are like going up against each other, and it's like, yeah, sure they are, because they're both the huge FPS games that they both are in their own respective rights, you know. Battlefield is more popular with people that prefer the team-based aspect of the game, whereas Call of Duty is more, like, you know, it's more populated with people that just want to play a simple FPS game. You know, Call of Duty, it mainly gets its popularity from casual players, you know, and now that the casual majority of people can't afford the next generation of game consoles, not that they're expensive, it's just that they're a fucking ball ache to set up, you know. Like, PS3 used to be dead simple, you know, you get your PS3, PSN was free, you get your copy of fucking Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 1, whatever it was, and you'd have, you know, free fucking network access on PSN. And you know, you get to play PvP for nothing other than paying for your PS4, PS3 even, and then for your Xbox 360, you know, that's where the content exclusivity was. So there was more people on Xbox. You know, it was just dead simple. You know, you paid for your Xbox and then you paid for your gold membership, and that was it. But for the Xbox One, it's just a fucking nightmare. You know, like, especially when it came down to the Xbox One at launch. You know, have this bullshit that you had to buy with it, like Kinect. which inevitably did get scrapped, and you know, that really did hamper a lot of the sales of the Xbox One. And then obviously when you buy your PS4, you have to actually pay for the network membership, and it's just stuff like that, you know. It's just less enticing for casual players at this point, even though they're trying to bring back those casual players. But let's just accept right now that, yeah, there's less casual players than there ever has been for the next generation of consoles, and that's where a lot of Call of Duty's popularity comes from. And obviously with the last couple of games not really appealing to the casual majority of people, and they're finding other games to play, or they've quit gaming entirely, yeah, Call of Duty has really lost a lot of its players, because it comes from the casual players, not the gamers, you know, the serious gamers that, you know, play Call of Duty full time. And, you know, it shows a lot, especially with the recent shit that they've been doing. You know, they've been trying to ramp up their sales and money figures again, so they've been adding in stuff like supply drops that you can pay for, and, you know, bullshit like that. But, you know, with Battlefield, it's, I don't know how many casuals actually play Battlefield, but for me, like my personal opinion anyway, I would say Battlefield tends to be more populated with serious Battlefield players, because, you know, you have Battlefield Hardline, which did come out last year. It's got less players than it ever has. You know, it's really, oh, I wouldn't say dead, but it really is on its last legs in terms of player population. You know, there's not a lot of people buying it, and to be quite honest with you, there's not that many people that bought it either. You know, it just wasn't a very good game, and not that many people bought it. Then you had Battlefield 4, which had the horrendous launch. You know, it's like fucking, like, that was almost like having a kneecap, like a fucking injured knee, and trying to play football or something like that. You know, it just wouldn't work. And obviously Battlefield 4 managed to stay in like the top 10 most played Xbox games for like consecutive months in a row, and beat out other games. And it's just with these two games going head to head, you know, Battlefield and Call of Duty, it's, you know, people like to compare. You know, it's like when people compare Destiny and Halo, you know, you can see where it comes from. Yeah, that's kind of a bad example, because Destiny and Halo are really similar, but Call of Duty and Battlefield are as different as they could possibly be. Yes, they're both in the FPS category, but no, they have barely anything similar, and therefore you can't really compare them, you know? I mean, if you're comparing other games, if like, a lot of people seem to think that comparing Call of Duty to Battlefield is like comparing Elder Scrolls to Skyrim, Elder Scrolls to Fallout, because Elder Scrolls and Fallout have like a lot of similarities at this point. You know, they're both first person / third person action RPG games, whereas Call of Duty and Battlefield, they're really fucking different, you know? Sure, they're still FPSs at the end of the day, but obviously Battlefield's more team based, destructive, big multiplayer, big maps, stuff like that, with vehicles as well. Then you get Call of Duty, which, other than kill streaks, it doesn't have vehicles ever. And it's just stuff like that, you know? It just, you know, they deliver a good amount of performance in their own way. You know, Battlefield gives you that team-based gameplay, whereas Call of Duty gives you that Twitch-based gameplay, which is fun occasionally. And it's just like, why not buy both? You know, these kids that are sitting there going, oh, I'm buying Battlefield 1. It's like, yeah, but the thing is with Battlefield 1, I've obviously never played it, but from what I've played with Battlefield 4, it's a more serious game. You know, you need to play to win and stuff like that. You need to play the objective, stuff like that. But Call of Duty is a fairly good casual game where you can hop on and play some free-for-all and stuff like that. And that's where people play both games. You know, that's the reason why. Because Battlefield performs in ways that Call of Duty can't, and then Call of Duty can also perform in ways that Battlefield can't. And it doesn't make any sense to just say, well, I'm only buying one of them, because if you buy two of them, you can get both experiences. And it's not saying that you have to play one or the other, you can play both. Nobody's stopping you. Yeah, a lot of people seem to think that that's the case, but nothing is stopping you from playing both games. EA isn't going to permanently ban you from playing on their servers because you're playing Infinite Warfare. No, that's not the case. You can buy both games. That's up to you whether you want to play or not, but you can play both of them. That is the option that is on the table right there. And then you've got Titanfall 2 as well, which is also going to perform in ways that Battlefield and Call of Duty can't. Just saying, but there's no point in saying that you're only going to play one of the games because, yeah, because you don't want to play the other game, because you're only going to play one game, because you can play both of them if you really want to. Sure, you can say that, well, I don't have the money and I'm only going to buy one of them because I only can buy one of them. That's a fair excuse. You know, I'm not going to rage at you for doing that. But when you get kids sitting there going, oh, well, I could have bought Infinite Warfare with Battlefield 1 as well, but I chose to buy Battlefield 1 because dislike bombing the Infinite Warfare trailer, fuck that shit. Yeah, if you're trying to prove a point and you're not going to buy Infinite Warfare because fuck Activision, I'll give you props for that. That's a fair point right there. But for the casual gamers out there, and the gamers out there as well, that are just being immature and going, oh, well, I'm only going to buy Battlefield 1 because Infinite Warfare is fucking shite, you know, blah, 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 blah. You won't know until you played it, so you might as well try out both games. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just been trying to make this video because, yeah, it's a video I saw from Rags recently talking about this, and it's a really good fucking point, you know. It's just, these gamers out there, you know, they're just being insanely narrow-minded, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to play this game because fuck that shit. And it's like, well, you can't play both, you know, there's nobody stopping you. It's like when Battlefield 4 came out with Ghosts. People were saying that Battlefield was going to be the COD killer back then, and it turned out it wasn't the COD killer. You know, it's fucking stupid, you know. People are going, oh, this game's gonna kill blah blah blah. This video is gonna kill blah blah blah. This video will kill this YouTuber or expose him. You know, nothing ever happens, you know, it fades away eventually. So, yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's been a long career. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you've enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Peace.